Well, I'm in communication with myself above myself, but I am not in communication with the landlording of apartment number 1 in Fremont Gardens, Las Vegas, Nevada. Not today. Today was July 1st, year 2025, and I don't know the threatening that I'm in because the landlord did not knock on the door today and demand rent money. But there is still tomorrow. There is still all the way until the 5th of the month. And then maybe the following Monday. That means God doesn't get relief on the rent because the day the rent is due or the grace period ends would be on a Saturday or a Sunday. The rent is always charged on a weekday after that. And that means they're charging for their payroll, that they've been murdered out of payroll and they don't want to leave. And they're collecting on the threatening that they're in the wrong and they just don't know it. That's true about them. But what about me? Because I just described my landlording between the years 1995 and 2025. That's 30 years of landlording. About what day of the week did I pay the rent. And I don't have rent payments for all the years, but I have rent payments from year 2000 until 2025. The other years, 1995 to 2000, I don't have all the rent payments on the first of the month. I don't have that. But it's true that I don't know you mentally because I don't have anything, but I was deceived into being elsewhere, not in my house. And then I want to know why the rent charges went up. And then I don't know what would have happened if the rent charges had been the same. Do you know how the rent charges go up on myself? Volunteer landlords who don't go into the office and tell the office staff to get out, and they take over the office key and charge the rent for the next month. They up the rent that I'm not allowed to be in the apartment, and the office didn't say that. They accepted the rent and issued a receipt. I realized the receipt could have been that they just kept it, but I would have a receipt. And the receipt is really not to be shown to just any landlord who says that they want me out of the apartment. Well, why aren't I in a house for this problem? Well, wouldn't a house be killing this problem? The office isn't killing that they're charging me rent and people are asking me to get out of the apartment. I know that because I found about 8 landlords who have raised the rent on me since the year 2000 to that I don't live here at all, even though I have made the payment and been issued a receipt from the office. And that's who in there? Just somebody in the office? What is Creator 8? Because if that's Creator 8 who issues a receipt in the office and Creator 8 sends an additional landlord to be a sex offender or to just say that he doesn't want to know where I am anymore, that's true that I don't have any permissions to be anywhere on earth. And that's how I find myself deceased here. But I don't know what to tell you about that. I don't have any rent charges due ever. What about the money that was paid and I didn't owe it? Because I'm deceased right here. I can't even collect rent from a bank so that I can pay some charges that are going on now because the bank would worry about themselves. I don't know anybody who worries about themselves the way I worry about myself, and I have myself deceased here. I think you don't afford that I'm in your leverage, but it's alive that way for you, and I can't just say, well, I don't want to pay your rent by that I am myself. Yeah. That's what you would say to me, one-on-one, each one of you individually, one-on-one to myself. You would tell me you don't want to pay my rent. Sure you don't, but I am alive in yourself and you just don't know it. You just don't know how you're alive because you're so condescending. You don't know how you're alive. And that's yourself alive in yourself. Do you don't want to alive yourself? How can you end that without interfering with my own life? Because you're not entitled just because you're alive by a soul. That you can tell the soul that you don't want itself to alive yourself, with yourself alive. You're not entitled to tell me that you don't want me to alive yourself. Though I would like to see each one of you in the afterlife coming into my afterlife office in my prison. That means I want my office in my prison. Yep, I don't want just an office that's out in human trafficking and it just died. Oh, well. I want that when I'm in the afterlife in my own prison about myself needing to be deceased out of this Godhead and never be in female genitals again in my order, that my body is in prison for that. And when I decease myself out of the prison, I won't be using the body anymore. I'll just be myself after that. That's true that I need the office in the prison so that I can meet with you about your matters that you think were not important to talk to me while you had a set of keys in your hand for a car that goes fast and for a house that you're parking like a car because it has an address. You can't have an office around the addresses and the human trafficking. The office needs to be in the prison. That's what's wrong with it in the money, but we don't know what's wrong with it in the karma, which is I don't have any karma to be here. That means I don't have the female genitals from Michael Michelson, the one who preceded Jesus. He's the same entity as Jesus. His name is Michael Michelson, causing myself to have female genitals on this Godhead, which is the Godhead without the female genitals, and I look small. I don't look like this. And it's true that I don't have karma to be with these female genitals at all. But what about all the things that you did to make me really angry and upset? Is it just not you anymore? Who are you? Because you're not Michael Michelson. Who are you? You are always some kind of computer program, predictable of how it's no to myself, and you're going to keep everything you have, and you're going to feed the God within yourself, and it's the same to you if you have the money that you owe me as if you give it to me. You think it's just the same, you as well just eat it yourself, and you do that in my leverage, and I don't have leverage to decease myself out of that. I have to remove my genitals, and then I would like to see if you still feel the same about your genitals. Because you're not myself has to come into view of yourself as being yourself who caused that problem, not me. Well, I don't know you. You don't know who I am apart from everyone else because I have genitals on myself, but that's how you have genitals on yourself, and you're very low. You just don't afford to know who and what I am is not true. You don't afford to know yourself and genitals. And you need to see me after this in the office of the prison of myself to talk about your genitals when I'm not in these genitals anymore, but I'm still alive in there as evidence that you can't get out of your genitals that you knew me in. That means you knew who I was when you were in genitals and you're still in them, and that's how you know who I am when I'm not in genitals anymore. So what do you do in your offices? Huh? A lot of paperwork, filing, computers. Yeah. I've been in a number of offices as employment, and also there was an office for the last name Moser, but that did not go well for me because I was deported all by myself with the last name Moser. Yeah. And then the office was closed and closed when I got back, as though that was the reason I was deported. I don't think so. I was deported by my house, not by my office. It wasn't my office. It was an office. Moser and Associates for Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. But their office closed after I was deported alone. I don't know why. Because I could have used the office keys. And if those people wouldn't leave the office unless it was locked, I'm not sure what Hans is doing in my house. Because if he wants to be around people who don't get out, he can stay in the office with those people who didn't get out. You don't have to lock it up empty and clean up that you didn't say that I should go to Argentina when you were in an office. You said it in my house. And I don't want my house. And look at how old I am. That was in the year 1997, and I am 2025 year ending, trying to die out of the formed world, and I'm having this much trouble with just you don't know how to leave myself is the soul of the superior founder, and I own my house is not interesting to me. I don't want it because I don't like you. You're not really myself. You don't think anybody owns a house in this world. Look at the amount of houses there are in this world. Do you know who owns the one house that is making all the other houses in view? And you stay in them or use them or you go by them, you see the houses. They come from my house. But you think that nobody owns a house. You think there are just a lot of houses in America. And beyond, of course, there are also houses internationally around the world.